can't even call your mom a
What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So, man, I hope you guys had a good holidays. Everybody out there staying blessed, staying free, spending time with family. That's what the holidays are about. So in today's episode, we got RDAP Dan on again. He's been on the channel before. I'm going to link his interviews in the description of this video. And he also has a YouTube channel and a couple other things he does on social media. Man, why don't you go ahead real quick and just tell the people how they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate it if you guys, and thanks for having me again, Josh, but really appreciate if you guys hop over to my YouTube channel, RDAP Dan, subscribe. I'm on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, basically anywhere you can search on social media under RDAP Dan. So I'd appreciate some follows and some likes and some subscribes.
Yeah, and I'll put all his links in the description of this video. So for the people real quick tuning in that don't know who you are, this guy was an office manager in a pain clinic during the pill mills in Florida, pretty much the USA at that point. But he's just got sentenced to 42 months in federal prison. He's never been in trouble before. So, man, you get sentenced. What's the next step, man? Did they take you away right then?
No. So after I got sentenced to the 42 months, that was in June, July, that was like the end of August or right before Shelly self-surrendered. So it was like the beginning of August. The judge gave me some time to self-surrender, basically. So from the time I got sentenced, he said, I'm going to give you till September 23rd. Actually, it was September 3rd was my surrender date. I ended up opting to get a surgery where you can see I blew my bicep off my tendon on a mechanical bull ride. And the injury happened years ago. I just never got the What's that?
You said bull riding?
Mechanical bull ride, yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of drinking and trying to hold on to the bull. When I got flung off of it, I hung on and tendon snapped. And I decided I was scared to go into prison with I had no use of that arm really. It was the muscle in that arm was gone. It's still deteriorated quite a bit. So I wanted to get surgery done. So the judge gave me an extension from September 3rd until September 23rd to give me, a couple of weeks of healing before I went into prison. And from the time I got sentenced to self-surrendering to federal prison was just the mind fuck on that was, I was like, wow, I'm really going to go turn myself into federal prison. Shelly had to surrender August 11th. So I remember driving her to prison. So I drove her to Coleman because she went to the same prison as me, Coleman Federal Prison. She went to the camp, the women's camp at the time, which is now a men's camp there. But I dropped her off. And when we got there, I got to see the penitentiary, the medium, all the barbed wire fence, the gun towers. And I'm like, oh my God. So when I got to where Shelly was going,
real.
I was getting real, bro. And when I got to where Shelly was going, she was going to the camp. There was no fence around it or anything. You could kind of see the women out there cutting the grass. And she got we decided to go to a bar before she turned herself in. So we drove all the way up to Coleman, which is by Ocala. And we found this little shithole bar. I'll send you a picture. You can post it up right here. We got in the bar and Shelly was drinking vodka. I think it was vodka and soda or vodka and tonic. And she must have knocked back 10, 15 of these within an hour. She turned herself in so shit-faced. Her eyes were cross-eyed. She couldn't see straight. We got there, knocked on the door. The female officer was real nice. She let me and Shelly have a little hug in another 30 seconds and they brought her in. And that was the last time I thought I was going to see Shelly for a really long time because, she was sentenced to 13 months. I was sentenced to 42 months. So I'm thinking I'm going to be doing a lot of time compared to her. So I go back home. The drive home was real surreal. It was, just a lonely drive. I get to my house. I don't have any friends, any family that has any money or anything. And I have nowhere to store my stuff. So I start trying to sell everything. And my friends and people that I thought cared about me were showing up and they were treating my stuff as they were at some ghetto yard sale where, they're like, well, what do you want for this TV? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I paid $4,000 for it. I'll give you $500. I was just getting lowballed from people that it was real sad. It felt like I was packing up my belongings for somebody that had just died. It was just, the whole thing was just horrible. This went on for a few weeks. I was still working, trying to make some money. So I have some money for commissary. And when it finally came down to 3 days before I had to self-surrender. So September 20th, 2014, I posted a video on YouTube, and that's kind of what launched everything after prison. I posted a video on YouTube and I titled it "Going to Federal Prison for 42 Months and I Really Don't Know What to Do." So I made this video just this is what I did. And I was not taking accountability for anything. I was basically blaming the government, blaming everybody. And September 22nd, I had some friends come over to help me pack up my house, and we're packing everything up, and they dropped Molly into one of my beers. They're like, hey, you want to do some Molly? And I was like, no, because I'd never done that before. I'd never done anything other than marijuana. So they spiked my beer with Molly, and like 20, 30 minutes later, I guess I must have been like real like giddy and euphoric. And they're like, how are you feeling, Dan? And the way they said it, I was like, oh my God, what did you guys do? And they told me, we dropped a Molly in your beer. And I felt great. I was like, ooh, I'm on top of the world. I'm going to prison and I don't give a shit. The next morning when it was time to go, because they were driving me to prison, the next morning it was like a train wreck had hit. Molly, the serotonin was gone. I was so fucking high. And my friend is like, you know what you should do to really make a statement before you go into prison? It's like, he goes, you need to do something that no one's done before. And I'm like, I mean, okay, and I'm fucking stupid, high and tired. It's like, we're going to go to a Halloween store and we're going to buy a black and white pinstripe costume, a prison costume. And you're going to put it on when we get there. And you're going to wear this in when you self-surrender. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. So,
oh man,
we're driving, we go to Boynton Beach, the party city. We go buy this little black and white outfit, prisoner outfit for Halloween. And as we're getting closer and closer to Coleman, we stopped a couple of times at the like little restaurants off the turnpike, and I'm eating. And my friend, he's like, all right, you got to put this costume on. I'm not wanting to do it now. I'm like completely changed my mind. I'm not high anymore. I'm fucking like tired and freaking out, being anxious and nervous about going to prison. He's like, come on, man. You said you're going to do it. He's like, peer pressure. So I put this costume on. We get there. I get out of the car and I start walking up to R&D, receiving of Coleman at the low. And as I'm walking up to the doors where you go in, the perimeter guard that drives around the prison, he's in a white pickup truck and he carries a shotgun in case anybody's trying to escape or whatever. He rides up and he's like, can we help you? I was like, yeah, my name's Dan Wise. I have to self-surrender by 2:00. And he's like, okay. He goes, so you're going to wear that in there? And I'm thinking to myself, fuck. And I'm like, yeah. All right, good luck. So I walk up to the doors and I press the little call box and they're like, can I help you? I was like, yeah, I'm here to self-surrender. Doors open, go in. Meanwhile, my buddy's recording on video. My other buddy's taking pictures. And we get in there and it's like almost like a hotel. There's like a guest services desk when you first walk in. And the officer sees me. He's like, what's your name? I give him my ID. And he's like, all right, go ahead and have a seat. He's real nice. So I sit down. And my friends are sitting there with me. And then off in the distance, you kind of see these three big men walking my distance. It was 2 lieutenants and a captain. And they're walking. And it was almost like something out of a movie, bro. Like it should have been in slow motion with like smoke behind them and like that swagger to their walk. And I'm like, this is definitely not a good idea. Something didn't feel right. Like, why are they sending these guys to come greet me to federal prison? So as they get from like arm's length to me, I'm like, all right, my friends are recording this. I got to continue the charade. So I stand up and I put my hands out like handcuffs. I'm like, you got me, coppers. Yo, these guys snatched me up so fast. And when I say they ripped the clothes off of me, it was like a rape scene out of a movie. Ripped the clothes off of me. And the one lieutenant, I forgot his name, big white guy with long hair. He leans down and he's got like my skin wrapped up in his fingers. And he gets right in my ear. And he goes, you think we're your fucking friends, faggot? And this is what he says to me. And I'm like, oh, fuck. He goes, you fucked up. He goes, what kind of drugs are you on, son? We're going to put your ass in the medium. You want to play fucking games? They kick my friends out. They're like, you two, get the fuck out of here. And they basically like shoo them off. I've never seen, like, you didn't even hear them leave. You just looked back and you saw like a trail of dust in the door that was closing. They were just like, poof, they were fucking gone.
The fucking roadrunner. Beep, beep.
Yeah, bro. I was like, oh my God, this is not good. I'm still coming down from the Molly and marijuana, the night of drinking. So they put me in a holding cell. They drug test me, test positive for THC, obviously. And I guess the Molly was cut with whatever you cut Molly with, meth or something. Because I ended up testing positive for meth as well. So they're thinking that I'm, like addicted to this stuff. So they don't just send me directly into the regular, into the regular GP. They send me into general population, but they send me to a special unit. In A1, in the unit A1, they got what's called a fishbowl. It's where they keep all like the crazy people and the sick people.
Oh man, bro.
Yeah. So they put me in this this cell with like people that are in wheelchairs or people that are dying of cancer. And I'm in there. And then the next day, or maybe it was 2 days later, I hear Daniel Wise report to the lieutenant's office. I'm like, what's that for? And they're like, I don't know. They're not calling to say hi. I can tell you that. So the inmates are like, oh man, you must have did something. At this point, nobody knows I wore the prison costume in. I was scared to tell anybody. I go to the lieutenant's office, and the same guy that whispered my ear. And I went to say sorry and shake his hand. He smacks my hand away. He goes, I'm not shaking your fucking hand. You think this is a fucking game? And I'm just like, he's like, are you a fucking pilled out junkie? Are you gonna cause me problems? And I'm like, no, sir, no, sir. And then he goes, you suck dick? And I'm like, thinking to myself, what? He goes, do you suck dick? And I'm like, no, sir. He goes, because if you're an addict and you're addicted to pills, you'll suck dick for pills in here. You're gonna start sucking dick, inmate? I'm like, sir, no. And I'm like freaking the fuck out. And he's like, at this point, I think he realizes that I'm not withdrawing. I think they thought maybe I was going to go through withdrawals, and they wanted to keep an eye on me. So he's like, get the fuck out of my office. I go out of his office. I go back into A1, and they keep me in this little fishbowl unit for a few weeks before they put me into the regular unit. But when I first walked in, forgot to tell you this part. When I first walked in, while I'm waiting to see my case manager, inmates come up to me and they're like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, Dan. Where are you from? Palm Beach County. What are you in for? And all I knew from what I've seen on TV is you don't talk about your crime. So I was like, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, man.
So they walk off. Another guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? Same story. What are you in for? I don't want to talk about it. This happened like 2 or 3 times. And then the original guy circles back around. He goes, hey, man, I'm going to ask you a question. And he said it kind of like, because he wasn't the white boy Rick, but he was called white boy Rick in there. He was a white boy named Rick, all tatted up. And he goes, I'm going to ask you a question. He goes, you mess with little kids?
You like popsicles?
Well, sure.
Then you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
And I was like, whoa. I was like, what the fuck? Why would you ask me that? He's like, well, you don't look like a drug addict. You don't look like a gang member. He goes, you don't want to talk about your crime. He goes, let me guess, it's a computer crime. And he did it like in quotes. And because all the sex offenders that go there, they all say they're in there for computer crimes. And he tells me that, in federal prison, people don't talk about their cases. There's no reason not to talk about your case. You've already been sentenced. It's not like somebody can jump on your case.
Right. He's got a point.
Huh?
He's got a point.
Oh, yeah, completely had a point. I just didn't know. Yeah. So I started telling him, no, I worked at a pain clinic. I basically had to get my paperwork. I had to get what's called a J&C, judgment and committal. And once I got that from my case manager, I showed them I was there for conspiracy to distribute. And from that point, everything shifted. They were cool with me, and I was normal, run of the mill, watch TV at the tables. It was just normal. Prison was not nearly what I thought it was going to be like, at least for, a camp or a low security federal prison. It was nothing like what goes on in the mediums and the penitentiaries. There was no prison politics. There was no gangs. There was, the whites and blacks could all hang together. People could eat together. There was so many sex offenders on this compound. It was ridiculous. I'd never seen so many sex offenders in my life. But they were kind of the only outcasts. They had to sit at certain tables. They would all sit around all day long and play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, at the concrete picnic tables outside.
Bro. Dungeons and Dragons, all the chomos, golly.
Yep.
And I heard, man, the lows are flooded with them, but I mean, you just fucking confirmed it.
It's because lows are treated kind of like a protective custody prison. It's not a camp because there's a perimeter fence. You have to have if you get sentenced to more than 10 years in federal prison, you can't go to a camp. You go to a low security. So sex offenders, some of them have only like 3 or 4 year sentences, but because of the security level, they have to be behind a fence, but they are protected in there. If you look at them wrong, if you go try to fight one of them or talk shit to them, it's considered like a hate crime. They won't, the prison won't fuck with them. They'll move you from a low security to a medium security. And in the medium securities, that's where you start to see the prison politics, where fights break down. You got the different gang cars. I don't know if you're familiar with cars in state prison, but
yeah, I know what
they got cars in there, race cars. And where I was, we had cars, but they were fitness cars. It was like certain cars you could work out. Like they had the fucking Mercedes cars and the Honda cars. And, the better your workouts were, the more serious you take it, the better the groups you could get involved in. But federal prison, for the most part, was the biggest fear about prison was everything leading up to prison, the pre-trial, getting arrested, the sleepless nights, the county jail experience, because this starts to create a mindset of this is what your entire prison experience is going to be like. And when I got to Coleman, there's a half-mile track, there's handball courts, there was softball, there was basketball. The basketball court also served as a tennis court. We had horseshoes.
Country club.
Full music room, bro. When I say music room, soundproof glass music room with drums, guitars, pianos. I mean, you name it. They had a billiards room with pool tables, fitness rooms, movie rooms.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
If you went to state prison, if you left the feds and went into state prison, bro, it looks like a fucking refugee camp at the prison I was at. You could walk in the dorm, they got sheets hanging, clothes. You got little groups smoking K2, fucking twacking out on the floor. Like it's savage in state, man. So, but all right, you're in the feds. This is your first introduction into the system and being incarcerated. So during your time being incarcerated, now you get to see the corruption and how guards treat inmates and all the injustices that go on and you really don't have a voice when you're in there. So what were some of the things that you saw when you were doing your time at Coleman?
So the biggest things that I saw when it came to corruption, and it's definitely a two-way street. A lot of the
100. Yeah.
But what I would see, but again, that shouldn't justify why the guards should be held to a higher standard.
The problem with that thing is like when you say that the inmates definitely cause the guards to lose their mind, right? But once the guard loses his mind, now it's not just the inmates that are pissing him off. He's already crossed that line. So now you and me or whoever become a target.
Perfect example of that when it happened. This is when I jumping forward when I was in RDAP, the Residential Drug Abuse Program. We had they would do regular shakedowns where they would come through, and one of the inmates units got shook down a little harder than it probably should have. Like they turned his locker upside down with all the shit in there and stuff like that. And when it got one of the RDAP facilitators that works there, one of the staff members found out about it. And she's like, you need to go say something. Meanwhile, she's not a CO. And the inmate's like, no, if I go say something, they're going to retaliate. And she's like, no, this is not right. They can't treat you like this. Like she's trying to fight for his rights, but he's trying to tell her, if you do this, you're going to make my life worse and everybody else's life. So she couldn't help herself. She went and brought it to someone's attention. Well, next day, they do a fire alarm where we all have to go outside like 3 a.m, where they do a fire test or whatever you call that. So we're all out 3 a.m, and they did this when I say they ransacked the unit, and it was all in retaliation to that CO getting told on. So the COs retaliated and they destroyed our unit. When I say it was like all the
property.
And you would take, like, for example, like we're in a unit of cubicles. Like if anybody's ever watched Orange is the New Black, they got the concrete cubicles. That's kind of how our living situation is concrete cubicles with 150 guys. So you've got a pretty big dorm. There was lockers taken out of cubicles that were put clear on the other side in other people's bays and there's not like your name is not on a fucking locker. It took us probably a good week to get our stuff.
That's a bitch.
Oh man. And that kind of stuff would happen. That would happen quite often where
they do that, bro. You know why they do that? So they know if everybody's property's fucked up and people can't find their shit. Now all of a sudden, like, they know it's going to cause problems, the inmate on inmate. And they do that to stir shit up, man. So then they can fucking spray you.
And you have your like, you're in prison. So the little things you have, your little possessions, they mean a lot to you. Like
the world to you.
They're just, that's it. And when they destroyed everything, pictures, like they had torn up pictures, books were smashed, like artwork that you had been working on. It was like coming home to your house getting robbed, and the thieves like trashed your house in the process and just left this giant mess for you to clean up. It was such an invasion of privacy. And it was like, fuck, man. So we all knew, like, when the guards do shit, you just let them have their way. This is their world.
Yeah, you can't win.
You can't win, man. And the average correctional officer is, not to talk bad about them in a whole, but the average correctional officer, they couldn't make it as a police officer. That's not just me talking smack. That's the honest
facts.
truth. It's facts. and they get paid pretty good when you're a correctional officer or CO in the feds. You're getting paid by the feds. You're making probably more money than you're qualified for any other job out there. You might even not even have a high school diploma. People in there with basically GEDs that are, in charge of your life. Mail time was the best, bro. When they would do mail time, when you get I don't care what you're getting. If they call your name at mail time, you are fucking excited. It could be you got a postcard in the mail and your name is called. You're like, woo. And some of these COs, their speech was so bad that when they would try to say the names, it was like comedy hour when these COs would mail call. It's like, oh, bro, I'm getting front row seat for this one. You fucking get your chair. I don't even care if I'm getting mail. I just want to watch him try to say something.
They're spelling shit out.
Oh, dude, it's like, oh, looking for inmate FB. And it's like, yo,
hooked on phonics.
How do you have this job?
Yeah.
But there was a lot of shenanigans going on, like a lot of me and the guys that we'd hang with. I went there with my co-defendants, and it was kind of like a frat party to some extent. It's like birthdays. I remember I was in the stall. I'm on it's my birthday, and I'm in there. I'm on the stall taking a what. Yeah. And all of a sudden I hear a voice, and it sounds like my bunkie Dan. And man, all of a sudden, water, freezing cold water, comes over the fucking thing, splashes me, followed by baby powder, followed by like fucking lotion and this and that. Toilet paper all stuck to me, and I walk out. Everybody's laughing, and stuff like that. It was those were the good parts of it. There's a lot of you gotta make the best of a shitty situation. And all doing prison time isn't fighting 24/7. Like there's times like you said, I would do the same shit, bro. Friday night, lights are out, you're eating with your homies, got radio on. Movie night.
We call it going to the club, bro, because we were in. They would go to Panama City, like on I forget the club, man. They would play it. We're like, oh, we at the club. I know what you mean, man.
And that's why, but at the same time, I took my time real serious. I was programming. I was in RDAP, the residential drug abuse program, which, ended up shortening my sentence in the long run. I was taking classes. I went in there weighing like 240 pounds. I came out like 185 in the best shape of my entire life.
I seen your pictures, bro. You were shredded.
Yeah. I was not in that kind of shape when I was 18 years old. Now here I am in my mid 30s. And after I had this gnarly surgery done where I was told that I might have at best 20% use of my arm, it was the federal system for me was something that I definitely needed. I needed to go through this because I was on a path of destruction, not just crime, but manipulating, doing things that I wanted without focusing on consequences. Like the prison experience really grounded me, and it helps me focus on, becoming a better person every day. And it's because I went to federal prison. So I can't hate that this happened to me. I don't want to do it again though.
So, going to prison, and now you got to get out of prison. And a lot of people struggle with that, man, not having resources. And it's hard for somebody getting out with felonies on their record and stuff like that. So I definitely want to bring you back on the channel and talk about some of the struggles that you went through, exiting prison and now starting your life over. So, but I want you to tell the people watching one more time how they could find you on YouTube. So that way they can go subscribe and check out your content.
Absolutely. Guys, come over to RDAP Dan. All you got to do is go on YouTube, type in RDAP Dan, smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on your notifications. And I think we're going to have Josh on again pretty soon too. So Josh, thank you again for letting me come on here, bro. It's always a blast. I get hyped.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on. Like you said, go check out his YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate everybody who has subscribed to this channel. If you guys enjoy this type of content, man, do me a favor, hit the like button, drop a comment. It helps with the algorithm, help push this video. If you're new and you're tuning in, man, hit that subscribe button and turn your post notifications on. And with that, it's DOC TV, and we're out.